2010. What's the earliest Christmas you remember?
Well, earliest Christmas I remember, I think was probably in 1910.
1910, 100 years ago today.
Yeah, that's right, 100 years ago.
Oh my
Amazing.
God.
Amazing. What do you remember about that?
I just vaguely remember having all these things under the tree.
Really?
I could just see something, I didn't know what it was exactly, but it was
Okay.
under a tree anyway.
Wow.
I remember very little about it. And I remember several things when I was 2 years old.
Really?
Yeah, I remember an uncle who had been staying with us left and moved to Albany or somewhere. And I was absolutely shocked. I couldn't make people understand. I didn't know people who lived where he ever left.
Oh, okay.
And I was
All right.
so worried that my other folks were going to leave me too, you know.
Okay, all right.
I couldn't make my people quite understand what was bothering me.
Okay.
So I remember that was a problem, and that's why I remembered it.
You know, I remember being 2 because my little brother came when I was 2. I remember, they seemed to have to spend a lot of time changing his diapers. I don't know the problem, but.
Yeah.
Well, what about and so, you know, we were talking about this earlier. So the Christmas tree would have been a tree that you'd cut down in the country.
Oh, yeah.
Private cedar.
Sure.
You remember any toys when you were young? Any particular toys that you got?
Right now, I don't.
No?
I'm sure I have remembered, but I can't remember now.
Well, what else do you remember about Christmas growing up? I mean, you know, early years.
Well, that's my mother died. That was all before my mother died. After my mother died, as I said, my father bought my Santa Claus Christmas tree guy. He never knew what she was going to get. But I enjoyed it, but it was never anything I'd ask folks to do, you know.
Okay.
Anything like that. It just wasn't as big a Christmas as it was.
Right. No doubt.
It's Christmas Eve, you know. So I do remember that much about it, but I enjoyed the Christmas Eve also, because the extra other members of the family there that I didn't see all, and that's what made it Christmas Eve. Rather than the presents that you got.
Sure. Sure.
So that's always family get together. Well, I'm a people person, and
Yes, you are. No question. Well, what about, all right, so let's say, you know, you were 21 years old at the height of or when the Great Depression started.
Yeah.
Were you aware of that having an impact on how Christmas was here?
Oh, I don't. Yeah, I remember the impact over everything, the whole year, not just Christmas. It had a big impact. I tell you, that's where I got this. I pinched pennies for so long that I decided I'm still penny wise and pound foolish.
Really, you think so?
Yeah. It doesn't bother me if things cost several $100, but it does if it's 10 or 15.
Okay. Well, that might be a good
No,
approach.
that's a little exaggerated, but something like that. I think I'm more interested that way. But it's you're learning to pinch pennies is a hard thing to do. And you get the way you actually pinching pennies. When you have just so much money to spend for this and so much money to spend for that, and you have to make it last.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And it takes a lot of bookkeeping.
I have a question. Did you guys have any Christmas traditions, you and your kids, like you and Mimi and Bam and Shorter, when you were when they were growing up?
Not many. I remember one or two when my mother was living. I remember that I'll tell you one thing I remember after she had died was I was at my grandfather's house in Columbus, Georgia, and they had these little bitty fireplaces, you know. I said, Santa Claus can't get out of that. And she said, oh no, he comes to the door here. So when she came in the next morning, she said, what did Santa Claus leave you? I said, he didn't leave me anything, because I saw him come in, and he had 2 hours up here and 2 hours and 4 hours.
Oh, really?
She said, well, I see something. I said, okay. But I remember that because they told her pieces so much. She thought it so much.
Oh, okay.
That's why I remembered, I think.
Well, now, when did you all start reading The Other Wise Man?
Oh, that was after I married.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my dad brought that?
Oh,
that
yeah.
Was
That
okay.
was what Dad started that. We began reading that every Christmas.
Okay. And so as your children grew up, you all had been doing that from the beginning?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. All right. I didn't realize that. I didn't know it was that old. What about when you lived in Atlanta? Was Christmas any different then? Any different being in the city from being out in the country?
It's very different being in the city in the general where you live, but I was trying to think how Christmas did put it in particular. Well, one thing, you had such beautiful displays at the stores.
Yeah.
You know, the big city stores would have their windows and all was so gorgeous. So it was more to go and see that way about Christmas. But as far as what we did personally, I can't remember anything that's very different from any other thing. We did the same thing in the house that you did do, I think.
I should know this. Where did you live in Atlanta? What part of the city were you in?
You go out Peachtree Drive and turn over, I used to know the name of that section, over on the turn, as you go out, it's on your left. And there's a whole section there that's got a name.
It's up near Buckhead, maybe?
It's towards Buckhead.
Towards Buckhead, between downtown and
Yeah,
Buckhead?
that's right.
Okay, that's what I thought.
That's where it is right now, that's where we live.
Okay.
Woodland Drive.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
No, well, now this is Woodland Drive.
Yeah.
Was that was Woodland Drive
Yeah.
too? How bizarre.
Either Woodland or Woodland too, I think, yeah.
Well, so were you near where Margaret Mitchell's house is, the one that's, you know,
Yeah.
a tourist location
I don't
now?
know where it is, I've never been
Okay,
to
well,
that.
it sounds like it's sort of, that's
Yeah.
around where that is.
What's our connection to Margaret Mitchell?
Oh, yeah, well, Emily was asking what the connection with Margaret Mitchell is. Would you explain that?
Well, now she wrote,
Gone with the Wind.
I know it's gone, I'm trying to think of something. Anyway, she wrote Gone with the Wind. Now wait, let me get started at the beginning of it, I can think of when our first connection with Margaret Mitchell was. Takes me a little while to pull things up, my friend.
Yeah.
I got a slow memory. Well, anyway, we knew Margaret Mitchell well when we lived in Atlanta. We saw her, was always sort of part of it all. And I can't remember any details right this minute about her. What did you ask me something about?
Well, no, was there a connection because of Bud Ad being in publishing? Is
Oh,
that how
yeah,
you got to know her to start with?
Yeah, because
Okay.
he was the one who got Macmillan to then to come down and see about a manuscript and accepted a manuscript.
He was the one who did
Yeah.
that? I didn't know that.
Carl was the head of the Macmillan office in Birmingham. No, Atlanta.
Atlanta.
In Atlanta. And, but it was an educational office. It did not deal with fiction.
Okay.
It didn't have fiction or any of that. A lot of it, it was chiefly textbooks.
Right.
So that was what he was doing there. So this friend of hers and of ours told us that she had this manuscript under her bed, and thought that somebody else they couldn't get her to give it to a publisher. So he called Macmillan in New York and said, send somebody down from the to see if they can get this manuscript.
Now, how did he know that it would be worth their while to do that? I mean,
He didn't know.
he didn't know. Now, had she published anything
No,
before that?
no.
So this is a friend.
A friend of ours was a friend of hers.
Okay.
And she told Carl about her having this under the bed.
Okay.
And said, you've been trying to get it to a publisher for years and she won't. So he called the office in New York and they sent a man down.
Really?
And he came from the trade area. He stayed 2 or 3 days and he saw her every day for a while. He couldn't persuade her to give her the manuscript. So he told her goodbye. He went to the hotel, spent that night, was leaving the next morning. When he came down, she had brought the manuscript and left it at the office for him.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So, and he said he had to buy 2 suitcases to put it in. She had at least 2 copies of every chapter.
Okay.
There's
All right.
different versions of
Wow.
each chapter. Anyway, so I was going to tell you some more about it, but I forgot that one. What else I was going to tell you? But anyway, that was we of course had no idea it was going to be that big a thing at the time. Yeah. When his company of course published it, and they planned a party for her the day it came out. Before we still didn't know it would be a big thing, and I had to plan the party at the athletic club, and I stood as hostess.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we had that party. Then later on, he just hit this top of the list, you know, and we got real proud of it.
I had never heard that. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And to devote that many resources to it when she was totally unknown
I
was
know.
surprising
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Well, people were great about trying to discover manuscripts back in that day and age.
Really?
Yeah. There were a lot of people who wrote and they were timid about showing it, you know. They weren't proud of it particularly. They just wrote it themselves.
That doesn't seem to be the case today.
No.
Everybody's anxious to have everything.
And they're so poor you can't publish it.
That's the problem.
A lot of them are,
Problem.
yeah.
Well, which one of your great-grandchildren do you think is the biggest loser? And do you think it's probably Drew? Or would you say it's David?
Neither.
Neither?
No,
Oh.
neither. Which is,
All right.
grandchildren is the biggest loser because he knows that they're going to see this on the internet.
Oh, you doing all this?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sorry, guys.
I'll be more careful what I say.
Yeah. Well, I can stop. It's going to be a large enough file right now, so do you want to say hey to the grandkids on here?
Hey, grandkids.
Yeah.
And great-grandchildren.
Mimi, do you want to say hey to your grandchildren? They're going to see it.
Hello.
Hey, and she's
Kervin,
keeping an eye on
wave.
you.
Yeah. All right, yeah. Merry Christmas, family.
Merry Christmas.